Hello, welcome to a new episode of Geek Lunch Meat. I'm your host Chris. As usual, now the SAG-AFTRA strike is rumbling on in Hollywood and there isn't much movie news coming out at all. So I thought we'd do a bit of an unboxing and take a look at the Big Trouble in Little China, a game that came out a few years back from Everything Epic. So the game is a 1 to 4 player cooperative game where you all work together to defeat the evil David Lopan. The game is, of course, based on the 1986 John Carpenter movie that I absolutely adore. Sort of bombed at the time. I don't think anyone was really ready for the mix of comedy, kung fu, and sort of horror that John Carpenter was bringing. I don't think general audiences really understood what Kurt Russell was doing with Jack Burton. He's not a great hero. He just sort of bumbles his way through. He's a bit of a sort of loudmouth, obnoxious buffoon, really. As I say, I don't think people at the time really understood it, but obviously it's become an absolute cult classic since, and it's got some of the most quotable lines in movie history. If you like the video, don't forget, hit the thumbs up. That really helps us out a great deal. And if you've not already subscribed, why not smash that subscribe button or risk ending up in the hell of the upside down sinner?
Roll off to the hell where people are skinned alive. It's that simple, understand?
Are you crazy? Is that your problem?
Now, I'll be honest with you from the get-go. If you watch this video and think, yep, I want to get me one of those Big Trouble in Little China games, they are, unfortunately, not cheap. I believe it was originally just a Kickstarter, and unlike most Kickstarters, it didn't then go to retail. So sort of the only way you could get it was to back it originally or to try and pick it up second hand. Now, I was lucky. I picked this up a while back on eBay. It's got a bit of a dent here in the box. That's all. Everything else is fine. And that meant that I only paid £35, I think it was, for it, which is an absolute bargain. Because unfortunately, now if you're trying to get one, if you look on eBay, there's only a very few on there, and they are going, or people want, whether or not they're going to get those prices, 250 to sort of £350, which is ridiculous. There's another version in a gold box which had some extra bits in it. There's a Lopan expansion. You can buy that separately. That will cost you 50 quid just for the expansion. It doesn't come with any minis or anything like that. It's literally just some sort of extra cards and dice and things, I think. So yeah, quite rare and quite expensive to get hold of these days. But it's time to shake the pillars of heaven. Let's crack this bad boy open and take a look inside. So here we are, Big Trouble in Little China, the game from Everything Epic and Boom Studios. I think they had the license. They produced some of the comic books and books that you can get set after the film as well. And it says, an Everything Epic experience, the cooperative action adventure, comedy, kung fu, ghost story, monster, miniatures board game for 1 to 4 players. There's some gorgeous, really colourful artwork on the front. The whole design of the game is really nicely done. Say Boom Studios used a similar style on all their comic books and things like that. And there's a making of book they did as well, and an art book. And yeah, really good job the design team has done on this. We've also got, so you got the Chinese wild man on the side. Obviously we've got lightning, one of the storms there. We've got one of the other storms. And no doubt, yeah, the third storm on the other side as well. Then on the back, you can just see, tells you a bit about the game. Relive the movie adventure or follow a new path, it says. Obviously lists all the game components, so 40 miniatures you've got in this game, which is fantastic for people like me who like painting minis. And then you've got the board, which we'll look at, and all the components inside that we'll take a closer look at in a sec. So let's get this opened up. So the first thing we've got is this sheet, which just has photos of all the minis. I think so you can, so you know where you can put them back into the plastic tray underneath. Now, obviously, I've taken all them out and I've actually painted the entire set of these, which we'll show you in a minute. So first up is the rule book. It's not too thick, and it's illustrated all throughout. Same artwork as on the front of the box. Again, the board, it shows you the board is double-sided. We'll get to that in a minute. Obviously, usual thing, list of all the components that make up the game. And then game setup, how to get started, going through all the sort of like the how to get your character set up and things like that. And then you've just got the basic rules of the game. There's a lot of sort of dice rolling and putting dice into slots for the actions that you've got. It does look a bit sort of daunting. I remember the first time you read through the instructions, but there are plenty of videos on YouTube which I found really helpful. And once you can actually see someone playing the game, and also I find one of the best things to do is just to get some friends round, get stuck in, and sort of learn as you go. Is generally the easiest way. As I say, lots of lovely artwork in the rule book as well. Once you know what you're doing, the game is quite straightforward. The next thing is just it's a small piece where it just says that there is a misprint on the rule book. So what they've done is they've given you this sheet that's got the correct details to do with Lo Pan. We've then got the board. As I said, it's double-sided. What I'll do is we'll get that out in a sec and unfold it, and I'll have to move the camera back up so we can see what's going on there. So then we've got just a leaflet for other games that Everything Epic do. And then we've got the quest book. Basically, during the game, in your journey to defeat Lo Pan, you go on quests, and obviously, depending on how you do on the quest, then affects what happens later on in the game. So you've got all the different quests in here. They're quite good. They basically give you a sort of a story description. It's very much sort of story driven. So it's very, very cinematic. In this first quest, son of a bitch must pay. You agree to help Wang find his stolen bride. Word on the street is there's no better place in the star than the Jade Panda Casino. So off you go there, and obviously shenanigans occur. But yeah, so that's the quest book that's got all the different quests in there that you can play through. We've got this demon bride. In one of the quests, the character Margot becomes possessed, and that's just a little card that shows you what to do when you have to deal with her. Then we've got your hero boards. This is the characters you can play at. So, of course, we've got the legendary Jack Burton, and you can see you've got these slots. This is where you roll the different dice and put them in here, and it depends on sort of what actions you can do. And then you've got your health and your chi tracks, which you've got little pegs that go in, and obviously as you go throughout the game, as you lose in combats, obviously, so your health goes down and things like that. So say you've got Jack Burton, you've got Gracie Law, Wang Chi, the fantastic egg Shen, Eddie Lee you can play as, and Margot Litzenberger as well. So yeah, so that's all the characters you can play at. As I say, it's 1 to 4 players, and it is a cooperative game, so you all play together. As I say, you can play on your own, and you use some companion cards, so you're not trying to defeat Lo Pan completely on your own. You've got companions that help you as well. Then we've got the boss cards. These are obviously the big bosses that you're going to have to fight at some point. I say we've got the storms, we've got rain and thunder and lightning. The Chinese wild man, if you remember, kidnaps Gracie in the film, and in the very final shot of the film is stowing away on the Pork Chop Express. And if you've read the comics or the books set afterwards, you know that his name is Pete, and he becomes a good friend of Jack's. And then we've got David Lo Pan himself. This is his ghost form that you have to defeat. And then basically when he's then made in the flesh, same as in the film, this is when you can actually defeat him for real. So that's all the bosses that you have to defeat along the way. This is the fate track where you roll the fate dice and you put them into the slots. And these, you can use them to help you, but also, unfortunately, depending, because it's just left up to the fates. There's obviously negative actions as well. And obviously, the 6th one is just death, and your hero dies immediately. So sort of fate track is use it wisely, use it at your own peril. It wouldn't be a game without an absolute plethora of tokens, all various different things you can buy, and obviously just to track where all the bad guys and things are on the board, and of course a big bag of dice, loads of dice in here. These are the dice you roll. I think this is the mind, body and spirit dice that you put into the slots on the hero cards for your actions. I think then the black ones are the fate dice that I've explained before. Loads of good dice in there. Then obviously lots of cards, and a good game worth its salt. Has a great deal of cards. These are the big trouble cards. These are basically what you turn over at the start of a turn, and it will tell you what minions to spawn. and basically any special rules that apply for that turn. Then you've got your minion cards of all the various people you're going to have to fight. The Spirit Path Warrior. We've got the Wing Kong 6-shooter. The security guards are probably the easiest ones. The guardians, the things that fly along with all the eyeballs and reporting back to Lopan. The Wing Kong Hatchet Man, obviously in the film, played by the legendary Al Young, henchman extraordinaire. Obviously, Big Trouble in China. Obviously, Die Hard. He's in Lethal Weapon, and I think he played Genghis Khan in the Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. So yeah, absolutely fantastic to have him. Then you got the Lords of Death that turn up at the airport with the guy with those awesome looking 80s shades. Some more cards. You've got the Hell cards. If your character dies, you have to take a Hell card. Lots of different Hells. The Hell of Halitosis, the Hell of Mischievous Demons, the Hell of Eye Gouging. Some of the effects are ongoing. Some of them you can clear, like with this one, the Hell of Halitosis, obviously really bad breath, and the effect is, looks like you do 1 damage to all other heroes when entering their space. So obviously there's negative effects from obviously dying. Reverse of that, you've got reward cards, which are the rewards you get for completing the various missions. Yeah, like this one, where there's a will, there's a grace. All enemies in Gracie's line of sight have -1 defense, so they obviously are positive effects for you. And then these are some more special abilities cards. I think they're all relevant to individual heroes. Jack's got his CB radio, which adds +1 defense, his tactical submachine gun, Jack's disguise, and Jack's classic knife, obviously that he kills with Lopan within at the end of the movie. And then these cards are relevant for the different missions. This is for the Son of a Bitch Must Pay mission. Tells you where Jack's character starts and what rewards he gets. And obviously, Jack, all in the reflexes card he will gain for doing these. And you've got these for all the different missions. And then, like most games, just these are the player aids where it tells you. Got your hero phase where basically all the heroes act, then your enemy phase where the enemies do their thing, and you can refer to these obviously as you play the game. And you've got normal versus epic dice actions. Depending on what slots you put the dice in on the cards, you've got epic actions which allow you to do extra things. Obviously you've got your movement, your combat, skill checks. Task action, you can rest, which allows you to gain health as well. That's all the cards, and then there's just a few. These are the little markers that go on your chi and health track. So let's take a look at the board. So here's the first side of the board where you start out. It's a pretty big board. It's about, I think it's about 80 centimeters. I think it was about 65 that I measured it. So it does take up quite a bit of room on your table. Plus, when you've got all your hero cards and a fate track and various other things spread out, yeah, you're going to need probably sort of you get your big dining room table out to fit the game on. It's beautifully done. It's sort of lots of neon colors that really pop. Got very reminiscent of that style, that 80s style of the film. You got things. I think this is where the Dragon of the Blackpool restaurant, which I think is where all the heroes start out. You've got Gracie's pad. Egg for Young Tours, the Jade Panda Casino, the White Tiger, where they go to get Mao Yin Wang's bride back, where Jack dresses up in his funky disguise. And basically, this is where all your heroes will travel around this board, fighting various different minions and henchmen, and going on quests and trying to complete them as best they can. At the top here, you've got the Big Trouble track. That basically you starts at one end and then the counter gets moved along as various bad things happen. You've got the Audacity track up here, which basically does the same sort of thing, but I think that's basically then stuff that the heroes do, so it's a much more positive track. And then basically, if either the Big Trouble track or the Audacity track gets to its end, that's where you flip the board over and you go on to phase 2 of the game. So let's flip the board over and show you the other side. So annoyingly, the other side of the board is oriented the other way round, which makes it hard to get all on camera. So you start off, you're now in the Wing Kong exchange, and then you have to move down through the sewers and down into this big area where Lopan is having his ceremony to marry Gracie and Mao Yin and become a made flesh again. And then we get to the final part of the board where you've got to defeat the 3 storms and David Lopan and ultimately win the game. So that's the board. So it's beautifully designed, double-sided, which is great. So all that's left is to take a look at all the minis. So we'll start off with the heroes here. As you can see, we've got Jack and Gracie and Wang. Obviously, the minis come unpainted. They're just a grey plastic. Excuse my paint jobs. They're okay. This was really the first time I haven't painted minis since I was a kid and used to paint Games Workshop stuff. And then this game sort of really got me back into painting minis. So these are the first ones I'd done in years. The sculpts are quite nice. They're quite soft in places, but they've got enough details and they're iconic figures. So, you know, if you get the bright colours on there, you can easily tell who they are. Some of the details are really nice, like the design on the front of Jack's vest is actually sculpted on there, so you haven't got to freehand it on yourself. So say you can get the colours on in the right places, enough that you can tell what it is. And obviously don't forget you get 40 of these minis, which back when you could pick up the game for sort of 40 odd quid was an absolute bargain in itself. And then obviously these are the other 3 heroes you can play. You've got Egg Shen, Eddie and Margot. And again, they've got just enough detail on them to let you know who the character is. Egg Shen's face particularly, they've sort of managed to sculpt in his like little squinty eye. So it really does give you an idea of who the character, you know, who the figure is meant to be. Now, onto the bad guys. These are the 3 storms. Fantastic bad guys, really distinct looks. A shame that only one of them has sort of got the big iconic hat. Lightning's obviously got his hat on, but obviously the other ones do appear in the film without them, so it makes sense. Then we've got David Lopan himself and his Spirit Path warriors, which are really nice to paint. Get some nice metallic effects done on those. And then these are probably the most fun to paint. The little flying dudes with all their multiple eyeballs and the Chinese wild man as well. They've done some really good sculpts on all the little eyeballs. Yeah, they were great fun to paint. And then all the various different minions that you get to battle throughout the game. You get multiples of these. I think you get 5 each of the security guards, the hatchet men, and the 6 shooters. And then you get 8 of the Lords of Death figure with his funky sunglasses. I must admit, yeah, these are probably the best painted examples, as you then have to paint the same figure numerous times. I will admit that possibly some of them I got bored by the end of them, and probably aren't quite up to the same standard, shall we say, as these ones, which are probably the best 4 examples. But as I say, as I hadn't painted any minis in or probably about 25, 30 years, I was quite happy with how these came out. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. As I said at the beginning, you'll be lucky to get this game at a reasonable price these days. But good luck to you. If you're trying to find a cheap one, you may get lucky like I did. And just remember,
It's all in the reflexes.
take care. Until next time, eat, geek, and be merry.